I found out late last night, early this morning, that my wife cheated on me. I don't know exactly what to write, but it has torn my heart in half. I don't know if I will be able to forgive her, but she wants to do whatever it takes to make it work. She seems genuinely remorseful about hurting me in our relationship. The one good thing I inherited from my grandfather is also my downfall. It's that I forgive anybody and everybody way too easily. Part of me desperately wants to go ahead and forgive her, but another part of me knows that forgiving her this soon will not solve the problem of why she cheated and what to do from here. I am at a loss and would greatly appreciate any advice on how to get through this. I am open to sharing more details if people think that will help in giving advice. Sorry for just getting back. I've spent most of the day either numb or feeling like I am going insane. I don't know if I am going to regret this, but here we go. A little background information. We have been married for only 4 months. However, we have been together for 4 years. 2 of those years, we were engaged. Before we even got married, we both agreed that whether we got married to each other or to someone else, we wanted a long engagement. We are in our late 20s. Now, to the betrayal part. A week ago, we had gone with my parents to put the family dog down. Long story short, it was a dog that had helped me get through some rough times as a teenager, and she was a dog that my wife had grown to love. I was filled with so many different emotions that I had not felt in almost 9 years, when I had to put down my own dog that I got when I turned 13 and helped me make it through my teenage years even more, that I essentially went into a numb state. I couldn't talk, cry, or do anything really. My wife tried to hold me not only for me but also because she needed comforting. I wouldn't let her out of fear that I was going to break down in the vet office. Both of us are big animal lovers. So not only did it affect us because of the reasons above, but her parents had to put down the 2 dogs that she grew up with a couple of months ago, and we just got done putting our own dog through chemotherapy after finding out he had lymphoma back in September. So we get home, and because I am back in school trying to better our lives, something that she has been extremely supportive of, I had to work on studying for an exam that I had to take online that Sunday. She seemed a little upset, but she attributed it to what we went through that afternoon. She said she was going to go out with friends and that I was welcome to join if I wanted to. 2 of the 3 friends that were there had been at our wedding. When I finished studying, I met up with them, and the entire time she was kind of distancing herself from me. So we all get invited back to one of the friends' houses to hang out, and when we are walking to the car, I asked her to hang back so I could talk to her. I asked her what was wrong, and she expressed that she felt like I pushed her away earlier at the vet's office. I explained that I hadn't had those kinds of emotions hit me that hard in almost 9 years. She understood, and everything seemed okay between us. However, she wanted some time to hang out with her 3 friends. One of the 2 friends that had been at our wedding was a guy. So I said that was fine, and she mentioned she was going to spend the night at the friend's house we had all been invited to, not the guy. To avoid dragging this out indefinitely, I'll share key details from the past week that I believe are important. Since the night she spent at her friend's house, she acted more distant from me. She also frequently wanted to hang out with the guy friend, explaining that it was to alleviate her depression because staying at home all day while I did schoolwork didn't help. Since the night we met up with the 3 friends, I've had a terrible gut feeling that worsened when she made this statement. In an attempt to be a caring and supportive husband, I expressed understanding and offered my help if there was anything I could do. I left it at that. Over the past week, she has been texting this guy a lot, more than I have ever seen her text anybody. This only intensified my gut feeling. On Thursday, she went to hang out with the guy friend since I had lab and class for most of the day. During my 2-hour break between lab and class, she asked if it would be okay if they hung out at our apartment with me. I agreed. While there, she used my computer and pulled up her email. She received a deal on some X toys from Adam and Eve, so she showed me. I didn't feel comfortable with it, especially with the guy friend present. I haven't mentioned this until now because I don't see it as a problem as long as it stays as two friends giving each other advice. She had heard that this guy friend was very knowledgeable when it comes to X toys, and she had asked me in the past if she could talk to him about it to get ideas for toys for us. Deep down, I didn't like it, but I thought it could just be a little jealousy. And what's the harm if he truly is just a friend and nothing more? So, back to the guy friend being in our apartment. Later Thursday night, I wanted to surprise my wife by ordering a few toys, so I opened the tab that still had her email open to get the coupon. When I opened the tab, I noticed an email from the guy friend. The subject line said something along the lines of, "This is a nice pinup of you." So I opened it, and my gut feeling got even worse. I knew something wasn't right, but I also knew that this simple pinup was not proof that she had cheated. Last night when she got home from work, she kept pushing me to go hang out with my friends who wanted to drink a few beers. Something didn't feel right to me because she kept getting texts from the guy friend, but she tried to hide her phone out of sight from me, which she had never done before in our entire relationship. So I went out with my friends and got home. I knew something wasn't right, so I asked if I could use her phone as a flashlight when I went to let the dog out. While walking down the steps to let the dog out, whether this was right or wrong of me, I don't know, but I noticed that she had no text messages at all from this guy friend that she had been texting all week and last night. So my heart just dropped. Without thinking, I immediately opened her Facebook Messenger app and saw that they had been sexting as recently as last night after I left to hang out with some friends. I rushed upstairs and into the apartment, went into the room, freaking out, and repeating over and over, "Why did you cheat on me?" Since I found out last night, she has revealed that night a week ago, she didn't stay at her friend's house that we had been invited to, but stayed at the guy friend's apartment. They didn't have intercourse, but he gave her a hand, if you know what I mean, and a little bit of oral. She says she stopped him from giving her oral when he started. She has also revealed that they have been sexting over the entire last week. She claims that she did it because she felt alone and felt like she couldn't talk to me about it because she didn't want to stress me out because of all the stress from school. I don't believe it was her decision to determine whether her feeling lonely due to my busy schedule with school was going to stress me out too much. When I asked her why she didn't tell me, she said she was afraid of my reaction. I don't understand why she would be so afraid since whenever we get upset, we never yell, lay a hand on each other, or engage in verbal or emotional abuse. I am at a loss as to why she would fear my reaction, unless what she meant is that she was afraid I would leave her. One thing is clear. If we attempt to reconcile, it will be much harder now that she kept it from me than if she had confessed from the beginning. I have considered everyone's advice and have decided that for any chance of reconciliation, she must take a polygraph test. My only concern is that, since she got a minor in psychology, she has mentioned in the past, when we watched TV shows featuring polygraph tests, that according to her professor, they are not reliable. My feeling is that if they are used in court and by national security agencies, then how are they not reliable? I know they can be beaten, but it is difficult to beat without proper training. I learned this from an ex-girlfriend's father, a Marine who was taught how to beat one. Ultimately, I'm concerned that she might argue that even if the test indicates she was lying, the polygraph could be wrong. How should I respond at that point? I was speaking with my brother, who has always been the wise one in the family. He mentioned that, yes, I have every right to be mad and want a polygraph. However, if this is going to work in the long run, a polygraph might do more damage than good simply because it would be a statement that accuses her of cheating, although she already admitted to it. So, if I decide that I don't want her to take the polygraph, the real question is whether I can ever move on not knowing if she was telling the whole truth. Quite frankly, I don't know if I can. However, my brother did say that, although this might be very difficult, he would wait at a minimum of a week to let everything marinate so that I don't make any rash decisions that I may regret. Therefore, I am going to take his suggestion and wait a week before I make any final decisions. It is going to be really tough to do because I just want to make a decision and be done with it. But I know in the long run I will regret it if I do that. I think deep down, I know that waiting a week to let everything calm down will not change the final decision. However, for me, I think that is the right choice for now. I have already started paying little to no attention to her and asked that she stay with a friend until we go to our consultation therapy meeting tomorrow. She is already responding with a snappy and irritable tone. I am not saying this is the reason why she is responding that way, but it feels as if she is trying to put the blame on me in some way. I keep going back and forth between wanting a divorce and not. I know it is not even 2 full days since D-Day, and I don't know if I need to go to a different forum to ask this, but does it ever get easier? Do the amazing memories I have with her ever start to fade? It's tearing me apart because I can't stop thinking of all the really good times we had. And I know that there are almost no couples that have not gone through arguments here and there, but I can literally count on one hand the number of times that we have had any serious arguments in the 4 years we have been together. I just want the good memories we had together to stop. I just finished texting her about the time and place for the therapy meeting tomorrow, and she responded with, "What if I don't feel comfortable opening up?" I replied, "We'll see how it goes." She responded, "You know how I feel about therapists. I'll give it my best, but you should already know that." I replied, "I don't think you are in a position to be picky." She responded, "I have a fairly brutal history with therapists, and I would hope that, as my husband, you would respect that." I'm sitting here thinking, wait a damn minute. Shouldn't you be willing to do anything, like you said you would, to reconcile this marriage? And also, why are you trying to make me feel bad for your history with therapists? To be clear, her history with therapists is that she dislikes almost all therapists because they tell her things she doesn't want to hear. What a piece of work. I think that put the final nail in the coffin. I know I said I was going to wait a week, and there were a couple of people who were supportive of that. But after this new development, I'm starting to learn more and more about what type of woman she really is. And of course, there are already photos of her on Facebook popping up, showing that she is at a Super Bowl party and seems to be perfectly happy, almost as if she has already moved on. A large part of me wants to be the one to tell her dad that we are getting a divorce and explain why. I want to do it so badly because she has always feared becoming like her mom, who ended up manipulating and cheating on her dad multiple times. However, another part of me thinks that not only would it make me look bad, but I also don't want to give her the satisfaction of having something to hate me for. When I threatened to call her dad and stepmom the other day after it happened, she looked horrified and begged me not to let them know because they will all think that she is turning into her mom, whom none of them have any contact with due to her manipulative and abusive behavior. As far as I know, the only person who knows about her staying overnight with the man and cheating, other than my brother and 2 of my closest friends whom I have called for support, is her friend she is staying with at the moment. This friend has known since the middle of last week. I have actually seen this friend since my wife told her about the infidelity, but before I found out. And this friend acted like nothing happened. When I asked to see my wife's phone yesterday after discovering her cheating, I saw that this friend, who knew about the infidelity, was encouraging my wife not to let me decide how the relationship will progress from here. I understand that my wife is a human being and technically doesn't have to let me decide, but if she genuinely wants to reconcile, as she claims she doesn't get to call the shots for quite a while. We just got back from our meeting with the marriage counselor, and to try to make things fair, I will present her side of the story. She said that it happened because she felt lonely and believed I wasn't giving her enough attention or spending time with her due to my constant studying for school. While she mentioned other things, it kept coming back to the fact that I wasn't paying enough attention to her. My side of the story. Before I went back to school, I asked her more than once if she was okay with it. I told her multiple times that I would have to study a lot. I'm currently taking prerequisites to apply for PT school, so I don't even have as much schoolwork now as I will when I get into PT school. She was fully supportive. Being very needy, I even asked her if she would be able to cope with me having to study so much. She assured me she was okay most of the times I asked. On a couple of occasions, she expressed a desire to spend time with me. I would respond by suggesting activities, and each time she would insist that I study because school is more important. I will also add that the amount of free time, me not having to study coupled with her not having to work, we had together each week was no less than the time any couple working 40-hour work weeks, 5 days a week, would have together. I will be the first to admit I was not the perfect husband. Should I have spent more time with her instead of studying? Probably. Having said that, school was not going to be permanent, and if you know anything about PT school, it is extremely competitive, so I needed to study if I was going to get in anywhere. Before I went back to school, I told her I was willing to choose a different career path than becoming a physical therapist if it was going to be too much for us. I emphasized that she is more important to me than becoming a physical therapist, but she was fully supportive. The entire meeting with the counselor felt like every time I spoke, she countered it by trying to place blame on me for why she cheated. She would preface it with saying, I wasn't trying to minimize what I did, but when I mentioned that I have put more attention on her in our relationship than on myself, she responded by saying that we should be putting equal attention on both of ourselves in a relationship. I agree with that. However, my concern is that if I was already giving most of my attention to her, and she still felt like I wasn't providing enough, then I can only imagine what would have happened if I gave us equal attention. The worst part is that because of all of that, I am actually starting to feel bad and think that part of the reason she cheated was my fault.
And if we don't stay together, it will be my fault.
I was so ready to divorce. And now I wish I never went to that damn meeting because I am afraid I will feel guilty if I insist on a divorce. She actually admitted that she enjoyed the time with the OM without me even asking her. She said it when I told her that she was acting as if she felt sorry for getting caught, but not for what she did to me. She straight up admitted that she enjoyed it with him, but is sorry that she hurt me. Probably the most truthful thing she has said so far. Wow, I am so thankful to have you all. This might sound strange, but reading all the comments and knowing the support you all have given has made me smile for the first time since D-Day. I just got off the phone with my father and he said basically the same thing you all did. He reminded me that she is a social work major with a psychology minor and is very likely using things she learned to make me feel guilty. Additionally, she got upset within the last hour because I refused to tell her I love her. I said I still have love for you, which is true. I do care for her well-being. However, I refuse to tell her I love you when I don't right now. Ultimately, I am filing for divorce. Well, technically I can't until we have been separated for a year, but you get the point. Why did it hurt more telling her we are getting a divorce than finding out she cheated on me? I feel like something's wrong with me. It feels like my heart was ripped out again, except sprinkled with salt this time and then put back in. God damn it! I know I've already pulled the trigger and said we are getting divorced, but it feels like I had to choose between the worst mistake of my life and the worst mistake of my life. I think I may have messed up. She's acting the complete opposite of what everyone said she would, which makes me think that she genuinely is remorseful. What makes me think that she is being remorseful is the fact that she hasn't really done anything that anybody suggested she would or has guessed that she did. She was crying a little, not a lot, and she wasn't begging for me to take her back. She mentioned that she was disappointed that I wasn't giving our relationship another chance. Honestly, I never thought of it like that, which is why I feel like I messed up asking for a divorce. She has told me that she genuinely just wants me to be happy and that she is sorry for what she did. When she was packing everything up and we were going through who gets what, she broke down at anything that reminded her of all the good times we had together. And I have to be honest, I didn't show it, but I was breaking down inside being reminded of all those good memories as well. I am starting to think that the good times were so good that they outweigh what she did. The good memories are so good that it makes me not even care if she were to cheat on me again. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what true love does to some of us. I'm sorry for going crazy. You all are right. When I look back at the 180 that I did for just one day, yesterday, she was getting really pushy and upset with me. I think I would be lying to myself if I didn't admit that we weren't codependent on each other, at least to a small extent. I went to talk to the marriage counselor again today, except without the wife this time. She confirmed that I am not going crazy and said that easily over 90% of clients in the same position as me are on an emotional roller coaster when it comes to going back and forth between wanting and not wanting to get divorced. She mentioned that the emotional roller coaster usually lasts about a month before most people she has seen stabilize. Therefore, she recommends separating for at least a month before making any final decisions. She also mentioned that if the betrayed spouse does not get all the details of a betrayal from her experience, there is about a 50% success rate for reconciliation. However, when the betrayed spouse has had access to messages and, therefore, the details of the betrayal like I have, reconciliation only works out about 5% of the time from her experience. I know you all are suggesting that I go the divorce route, but I know I will regret it if I stick to that decision, having made it when I am an emotional wreck. I have decided to wait 1 month and reevaluate. I have made it perfectly clear to my wife that I will most likely not change my stance and will very likely still want a divorce. But if there is to be even the tiniest chance of trying to work things out, we have to separate for at least a month. So far, she has agreed without question. I hear what you all are saying, believe me. The state we live in, got married in, requires a 1-year separation before you can divorce. The way I see it, the 1-month separation already gives us a head start on the 1-year separation requirement. Like I said, I seriously doubt I will want to reconcile, and I have made that clear to her. I am honestly just too emotional to make any rational decisions right now, though. The fact that I keep going back and forth between divorce and wanting to work things out is proof, in my opinion, that we should separate for the 1-month time. I am going to stick to that because if I keep going back and forth about wanting to divorce or not and wanting to wait a month or not, I will be starting to stoop to her level. I have already started doing the 180. She is getting her own apartment away from her friend. I am going to take everyone's advice and find a different counselor. Also, I am not saying it is right, but I think deep down I want her to screw up and be with the OM to make my final decision. Everyone keeps mentioning how we have only been married for 4 months. However, we have been together for 4 years, and we've lived together for 3.5 of those 4 years. It has been 2.5 years since we got engaged. From everything I have always read, the honeymoon phase does not strictly apply to marriage but to relationships in general. Based on conversations with friends and articles I have read online, the honeymoon phase rarely lasts longer than 2 years after a couple has gotten together. I will be the first to admit that us getting married kind of rekindled the excitement of us being together. But it didn't bring about excitement anything like the honeymoon phase for me or for her. Why would it? Seeing how we had already gone through a honeymoon phase. We got married because we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together, wanted it to be legal, and it was a step forward in the relationship, which we both know is important for many people. So going back to what I want clarity about, why is everybody making such a big deal out of us having been married only 4 months, considering everything I just wrote? I have made it crystal clear to her that if I am going to even consider reconciliation after 1 month of separation, we must remain monogamous, and there shall be no contact whatsoever with the OM. She has no idea that I have multiple resources to recover deleted messages, so I am not very worried about her trying to cover up anything. After reading everyone's advice and taking into consideration everything that I am starting to remember now that most of the fog has lifted, I don't see any option other than divorce. I remembered how in MC the other day she kept trying to say that I threw her phone at her when I had rushed into our place of living after finding the messages on her phone that revealed the affair. She also kept trying to play the victim by talking about how the way I acted when I found out about the affair has harmed her mentally. To make things clear, I tossed her phone on the bed next to her. And when I say throw, I mean a slightly hard toss. When it happened, she was still mostly asleep, and she has terrible vision, being legally blind without contacts or glasses. I threatened divorce upon finding out about the affair. Also, I will be the first to admit that I was pissed, and I overreacted by breaking and throwing away all the toys I had bought for her. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. But I never once verbally, unless threatening divorce is considered verbal harm, or physically harmed her. To make things worse, she has told her family all of the details, according to her. Although I don't know exactly what she told them, I can almost guarantee she tried to play the victim and said that I threw her phone at her. Ugh! I thought the anger phase was over. Boy, was I wrong. By her saying I was trying to physically harm her, it's the exact same nonsense her manipulative mom did to her dad when she was growing up. I guess like mother, like daughter. I have come to find that one of the most difficult parts of being separated is that the WS has more people supporting her in the wake of the affair than I have. I don't wish for her to have no support. I'm not that mean and cold. Believe me, I know life isn't fair. I've learned that many times in my life. But it just doesn't seem fair that the person who was having the affair is getting more support than me. And to be honest, whenever I see that she has all this support, it feels like someone keeps twisting the dagger in my heart. I have been implementing the 180 and have been paying very little attention to her. To be honest, the 1 in 80 has been helping me get through a lot of this because it is forcing me to face the fact that I can get through this and live my life without her. Going back to her amount of support, it's just one of those things I have noticed that wasn't making sense to me. So instead of giving her the attention and trying to ask her or her friends why, I thought I would ask you all. Your text is clear, but I made a few minor adjustments for better flow. Even though I know I have made a lot of progress, it is always nice to hear that someone else has noticed. Sometimes, it scares me how much progress I have made in the last couple of weeks. Having said that, when the times are bad, it feels as if I haven't made any progress. However, it is nice for the ups and downs to be more spread out rather than every couple of minutes, like they were even a week and a half ago. I have a confession that I have purposely left out until now. I guess because I was so hurt by the affair that I did not want any criticism when I first came to this site for advice, help. As I have mentioned before, I kind of snapped and destroyed all of her toys that I had bought for her. What I left out is that before I did that, I held a knife to my neck and said, "What is the point? I was not and still am not into self-harm. I was just hurting so bad that I felt that was the only way I could get my message across to the WS as to how deeply she hurt me." She has been saying that she can't get that image out of her head. Now I know that everybody is different, but I have seen extreme things that other people have done similar to what I did and have had no problems getting past those kinds of images. All of the therapists I have seen since I found out about the affair, as well as the few close friends I have told, don't seem to think it is that big of a deal considering the reason why I did it and the circumstances surrounding the situation. And maybe this is me trying to minimize my actions, but even her father and sister have condemned her actions and have reached out to me and offered their support. However, it is killing me that I have caused this mental harm to her. I am struggling to understand if I am making myself feel bad to cut her some slack regarding the affair. I don't know if I am trying to take some blame to make it easier or to attempt reconciliation and rug sweep the affair. I don't know if I am sharing this to seek reassurance or to hear if I made things worse by my actions. Ultimately, this community has helped me so much thus far that it was eating me up not revealing the entirety of what happened the night I found out about the affair. I don't know how much more of this pain I can take. Everything had been slowly but steadily improving, but now it feels just as bad as the first week after finding out about the affair. I don't know how to make the thoughts stop. They just won't stop. I don't want to hurt myself, but I can't get the thought of hurting myself out of my head simply because I can't get these thoughts to stop. I'm tired of battling this and trying to pretend like everything is okay when it isn't. I'm tired of having to be worried that the few friends I do have will stop talking to me if I go to them too often to talk about what I'm going through. I keep hearing that I am doing better than a lot of people in my position, but now that things have taken a turn, I just don't know. Nothing has changed, and that's why it is driving me crazy that my mood is worsening instead of improving like it had been. If nothing has changed, then over time, I should continue to do better. The fact that, no exaggeration here, the best memories I have had in my whole life were doing things with her, yet those best memories will from now on be tainted due to the affair is what is eating me up. I know it may sound silly to some, and people may say that I can always make new memories with someone else, but I just don't buy that at this time. The game plan is to start back at marriage counseling this week to see if I even want to give reconciliation a shot. My logical side tells me that I should probably move on, but my emotional side tells me that I should give it a shot. I have been doing the 180, as many people have suggested, and it helps for the most part, but there are times when the emotional side is stronger. I realize how crazy this might sound to a lot of people, but there is one thing the WS said that I can't get out of my head. I will be the first to admit that maybe it is my ego trying to prove something, but when I told her I wanted us to separate, she told me, "F you, you're not even going to give our marriage a chance." The logical side of me says that she's the one that didn't give our marriage a chance by having the affair. But then a voice creeps in my head and says that maybe she is right, that I'm not giving our marriage a chance. The reason I haven't made any final decisions yet is that I am the kind of person that if I am not 100% sure about my decision, a part of me will regret it for the rest of my life. And with how high my emotions still are, I don't feel that I am able to make a final decision. Having said that, with the exception of the last few days, I have been slowly getting closer to a decision that I am 100% sure I will not regret. I emailed her this morning to set up times to schedule with the marriage counselor. My email basically said that if we are going to make the marriage work, we can't keep putting off going to see a therapist, and that it is going to take years to heal from this, not just a few months like she thinks. She just replied back to me saying, "I am not financially able to do this, and I'm not ready to do this. I will reach out if I am ready financially and emotionally." What a load of crap. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it seems like she is trying to walk all over me and call the shots as if she is the victim. I'm kinda speechless. To be clear, I have only brought up marriage counseling 3 times. Right after I found out about the divorce, when I decided that things were too volatile for us to stay together and that we needed to separate for a month, and then this morning. I have also made it perfectly clear that this wasn't an option if we were going to reconcile. I have mentioned it previously, but the state we got married in, live in, requires that you remain separated for a year before divorce. Additionally, I talked to a lawyer a few weeks ago to get a separation agreement in motion in case this happened. But, as many people probably know, separation agreements are not binding even if you sign them. It simply makes the divorce easier once you are able to file for divorce. I have already contacted my lawyer regarding signing the separation agreement. I have also gone ahead and drawn up a will, signed it, and have had it notarized to ensure that the WS does not get anything that is mine if something were to happen to me over the next year. Although that may seem a little extreme to some, my family personally knows of 2 families who are going through legal battles because of a family member dying before the 1-year separation was up. So I am not taking any chances in that case. It really helped a lot in letting her know that I am putting my foot down. I know there are still going to be a lot of ups and downs, but it feels liberating not feeling like I am in limbo right now. I realize that people have said this. but knowing that I have done everything I could do gives me peace of mind. I let her know in my email response to her telling me that she doesn't know when or if she will ever be ready for MC that she will be hearing from my attorney. I kept the email really short and to the point. Based on a lot of responses, I am guessing that a lot of people missed my last post or that it wasn't clear enough. I am done with her and this marriage and have made it very clear to her. I know a lot of people have suggested divorce a while ago. However, I knew that if I did it based on what people were telling me to do and not based on what felt right to me, I would regret it the rest of my life. I'm just that kind of person. But I have absolutely no regrets at this point and am as happy as I can be with my decision considering the situation. Does it still suck? Heck yeah. But now I truly know for myself, not just what other people have told me, that it is for the better. I know that I probably shouldn't, but although I have fully accepted that my WS is a woman that I can never trust again and, therefore, will never be with again. That last post was written when I was feeling very emotionally vulnerable. My apologies. Of course, I shouldn't write her, and I should continue doing the 180 and no contact. I just feel like a crazy person sometimes because it's like I am doing well, still doing well. Bam! An emotional wreck for 20 minutes. Then back to doing well. I will say those intervals are definitely getting farther apart though. I think the last time I was hurting that badly from an emotional standpoint was a week or two ago. So I've got that going for me.